general looks of exasperation all round. Patrick Cummings looking perhaps a tad sheepish, but he'll have a chance to make amends. Warner, the left-hander, that takes the edge, and Prasid has his man. It's David Warner in true Broadian fashion. Prasid has beaten the Warner outside edge, or taken the Warner outside edge. Warner had just a little prod, very tentative, very indeterminate, very out.
A sight that everyone's a sight that every cricket fan likes to see. David Warner trudging back to the pavilion with the old, with a 3 to his name. I mean, it was a great ball, wasn't it? It swung, it got big on Warner, and it was, as I say, an indeterminate shot. Yeah. And great to see the back of. I mean, they Sunrisers needed an innings from Warner, surely, if they're going to get close to this. So, who do you think the runs are going to come from?
Well, Johnny Bairstow's there, of course. He'll be pawing the ground, anxious to get to the crease, I've no doubt. We might have been a little unkind on David Warner there, because that ball really did cramp him for space. It wasn't like he wafted a ball at a wide one.
Oh, it was a great ball. I mean, it was as close to unplayable at this stage of the innings as you'll find, because it was fast and swinging, and just shows you the value of coming on with opening with a decent quick as opposed to opening with a spinner. Look, I'm an IPL virgin, so a lot of the things I'm going to be saying are going to be complete rubbish. Because it's actually the first IPL game I've ever been allowed.
You reserve only for the IPL, David.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever been allowed to commentate. I know, I'm sure other games.
That's the first line of a Guerrilla Cricket CV, isn't it?
That one is nicely met, but driven straight to mid. They thought about a single, and everybody converges. The Kolkata Knight Riders with that wicket behind them are well and truly on their toes.
Well, we've had a tweet from somebody who I haven't seen for ages, Roger Melly.
Good Lord.
He says, hello, good evening, bollocks.
It's been a while. It's certainly been a while. We haven't heard from Roger, so welcome back.
Welcome back, Roger, and bollocks to you as well.
Oh, delightful.
But, I suppose call me old-fashioned, but, seeing a seam bowler coming on bowling like that first up, I mean...
That one, well. An attempted pull from Andy, who got a bit of a bottom edge on it. Prasid really does push it through, and gave him no room or time to play that shot.
Jingle.
Here comes Manish Pandy, Manish Pandy land.
I mean, he's plenty quick, isn't he? He's really got speed about him. Prasid Krishna really very likeable indeed, and generating a lot of pace.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And a little bit quicker than you expect him to be, if you know what I mean. He seems to get that extra little bit of nip off the wicket, which was certainly what did for David Warner. And he does it there, and it's cut really in defensive rather than aggressive mode by Pandya, and it would just be another dot ball. So just 2 runs off that over, which would be a definite triumph for the Knight Riders and a concern to the Sunrisers. Nestlers.
Warren says, I'd forgotten what a wonderful windmill Harbour Jan's action is.
It's great, isn't it? It's all arms and legs, but it's quite fluid. It's not ugly. It's a smooth windmill.
I can't remember the last time I saw him play. I'm trying to think. Is he?
He's given up into...
the question. I didn't have the figures to hand. Knackle, who is the oldest player in the tournament?
We need to get Darren Stevens out there.
Oh, I saw Knackle was shaking his head, but I didn't know what the answer was. Oh, it's on the chat.
He does. You've actually. Well, you will win today's Challenge Knackle prize then.
Well, no. Thanks, South Sea Peter. Thanks, South Sea Peter, for that. I was merely the messenger saying, "Is Harbourjan the oldest player in the tournament?" Answer: no, but we don't know who the other one is. Imran Tahir, of course, the gift that keeps giving. Imran Tahir, who's played for more teams than most people have had haircuts in the last 5 years.
Or shaves.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's going to be the man we were talking about. Here he is, smarter than the average.
Johnny Best is smarter than the average best. Oh, Johnny Best has been.
Which he plays the first ball away to the offside. Steady, easy start from Johnny B. Nothing, no fireworks from the off. We're watching that inside again after the Sahara. Lack of footwork and well, it was a bit ugly all round. There's a slip in place for Bairstow. Forward he comes. Again, it's just a prod into the offside. Solid, safe and unspectacular, but most importantly from a Kolkata perspective, another dot ball. They'll be very, very happy indeed with their work so far. 10 for 2 for the Sunrisers. Here comes Shakib Al Hassan. That one has a bit of width. Cut! They might get a run. Yeah, they do. They take a single. Harbourjan never officially retired, apparently, from international cricket. They just stopped select. So he was retired as opposed to retiring by choice.
He wasn't involved in last year's IPL, if my memory serves me correctly. But
best professional game for 2 years.
In comes Shakib again. Forward comes Bairstow. Just another prod. Another dot ball.
Yeah, Shakib's had a little spell out of action, isn't he, as well? He wasn't able to fulfil the Bangladesh West Indies series.
Well, he's going to be, as this one is driven. Are they going to get a single? They are. There's a push down to long off, and it will be the only single of what otherwise would have been a wicket maiden. But that single from Bairstow's rather spoilt it.
Yeah, Shakib's had a couple of big gaps, hasn't he, Tony?
He has.
Had a spell, obviously, where I think he was involved in not declaring a corrupt approach. Declaring an approach for a bookmaker, so that was out for a while. Came back and then got injured and missed the West Indies series. And my God, Bangladesh missed him in that series, ending up losing 2-0. That wouldn't have happened if he'd been in the team. Look, this KKR team looks really good, Tony. Do you think it's one of the strongest in the competition?
Yep. I mean, I don't know. There's any weak teams. I mean, they're all pretty well
on paper.
On paper, as they say, the game's not played on paper, but nonetheless,
there's no weak teams. But which would you say is the strongest?
I would say the Mumbai Indians are going to take some stopping again. Or even though they lost their first game, but then they've lost everyone. We'll just hold that as Prasidi's in, and that one is pushed by Bairstow into the onside. They take one, they look for two. They are going to come back. Good sharp running between Bairstow and Manish Pandey. They started off, didn't they, the Mumbai Indians, with their usual loss, despite looking for a hat-trick of wins in the series as a whole. They always seem to start with a defeat, have done in the last 8 IPLs, I think. But their general blend and balance looks powerful. But then the way these squads are structured is designed to create a degree of equality across the franchises, isn't it? Bairstow stands ready, doesn't really get hold of that, has a swing and a miss, and they take a quick single. Pandey was very sharp to follow up. The required rate close to 10.5.
How do they go about trying to achieve equality then? Because of the cap on.
It's the cap on money and what you can spend in the auction. It's the limit to how you have to balance your squads between domestic and overseas players.
Yeah, but even so, surely if you've got a strong team, it's all been the selection, isn't it?
In comes Prasid and forward comes Pandey. Just again sharp running.
Oh, buzzers!
Would you believe it? It's going to end up as it should be 5, shouldn't it? They'd already taken a single. Very, very poor indeed. Well, let's have another figure out exactly what's happening. The ball's just dropped out of speed. The throw went to the bowler's end. So they've taken 1. It's gone for 4. Presumably, actually, it's not 4. It'll just be 4 overthrows, won't it? Rather than 5.
A pretty wild throw.
5. No, 5. There we go. 5 overthrows. It was indeed a very wild throw, and they'll be disappointed in that, I would think, given that they've kept the lid on so well, plus taken wickets. Forward comes Bairstow. Again, rather outside edgy. Throw comes in. That's the zing bail zing. But I think we'll find the batsman was safely home. Indeed, umpire KN doesn't look disposed to do any kind of double check there.
Yeah, you've got to be on your toes if you're batting with Johnny Bairstow, haven't you?
Well, he's quick, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's lightning between the crease. 20 for 2 are the Sunrisers. We're 4 balls in to the 4th over. So decent start for the Night Riders with the ball. Not such a decent start. Remember, 50 without loss, the Night Riders were off their power play. So I think at the moment you would say, as we have been saying, as David's certainly been saying, that 186 is looking a decent knock. On to the back foot goes Pandey, cut straight to point, and there will be no run. It's a dot ball, 2-1, a 5-1, and that's the first dot ball of this over.
Yeah, Rana's innings looked pretty good, didn't it? I mean, it was one of the worst. Would you say that was? Have you seen him play better than that? I've never seen him play better than that.
I think 87 is his highest score in the IPL. I think he got, was it 80 today? But yeah, I mean, if you took that innings away, that was the rock upon which the whole thing was built. As in comes Proceed, a swing and a miss by Andy. It's going to be that run.
That was a slog, wasn't it? That was really agricultural, that was. My God, there's
was.
Desperation time already.
Yep. Want to get on with that scoring? Nestlers.
Well, Leia is talking to you, Tony. He says, who uses sails anymore in the age of wing sails that allow you to tack into the wind at speed?
Dum dum dum, dicka dicka dum dum.
Higher than wind speed. Did you bring up sails?
Literally nothing that Leah knows, doesn't it? She's now an expert on sailing as well.
Yeah,
extraordinary.
They've done the whole round the world thing single-handed, apparently.
I think we should just have a quiz between Leah and Gary. One who probably genuinely does know everything that they're talking about, and one who likes to think they do.
Now.
That's a bit unkind about Leia, Tony.
Oh, I was very careful not saying which was which. Onto the back foot goes Johnny B and just punched back to Shakib Al Hassan. He played for Worcester. Yes, he did, in about 1903. But nonetheless, it's that Monica's stuck for his jingle. He has that slipped in place. Back foot goes Bairstow, inside out, over extra, all the way, second tier, 6 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6.
Bairstow means business. That was a shot and a half over extra cover. Met it nicely, head very still, didn't have to move, mired his shot, maximum.
It was for the one for the cameras. He held the pose.
Yes,
on the ball.
Certainly.
He's been given a towel with which to dry it. Bairstow works this off his hip, turns it down past square leg, takes a single and will bring Pandy back onto strike. Good start this though from Pat Cummings. Just 2 off the 3 balls he's bowled so far. A dot ball sandwich with a 1 either side of that dot. 31 matches, 29 wickets, an economy rate of a shade over 8. Pat Cummings.
I was looking at Harbhajan Singh's economy figures, Tony. That's remarkable record in all formats.
Yeah, it's terrific. This one is played by Pandy straight to mid-on. Andre Russell's in the action again. You can't keep him out of it. They look like they thought about a run. Quickly changed their mind. And was sent back, so there was no run. 34 for 2. Andre Russell has the ball in hand, going through some warming up. Is he about to come on? A suggestion would be that he might, or he might just be doing it to suggest he'd like to be. Something, an old, well used trick by bowlers, that. Always to let the captain know that they're ready. As this one is dug in a little bit by Pat Cummings and played away by Pandy into the onside, but no run.
Russell takes a bit of warming up these days.
Yes, he probably does. He does. 34 for 2.
Can't help thinking about that World Cup game where he was, by the end of the tournament, he was sort of reduced to virtually sort of walking on his hands and knees around the outfield.
He was. In comes Pat Cummings. This one is played straight down the ground. In comes Russell again. What a busy boy he's being. But it doesn't prevent the single. So at the end of the power play, 35 for 2, the Sunrisers, remembering that the Knight Riders were 50 without loss. So you'd say at this stage, advantage KKR, but they did rather fall apart in the later stages. The Sunrisers will need to pick up the pace and we'll have a switch. Although I'm still on, I think. Who's doing what? Somebody tell me.
Well, it'll be yourself, Tony, reading the social media messages, myself, Knuckle Pandy, doing the summarising, and his self, David Brooke, doing some ball by ball.
Thanks very much, Tony, and thank you, Knuckle. And afternoon to everyone. My first IPL match. I'm really excited, like a small boy, loud out for the first time to the tuck shop. Lots of jingles, I noticed. A lot more than you get in a session of Test cricket.
Yeah, not a lot of room to breathe in this format. Particularly, they've really tried to clamp down on the over rates. They've set a 90 minute per innings strict cap.
Here's Shakib, and Pandy fails that one away down to long on. They're going to come back for 2, so that's Sunrisers 36-2.
I think it was just in
chasing target 188. So they need 153 off 84 balls. So it's already over. It's just under 11 runs and over already. But you're going to tell me now, Tony and Knuckle, that's just like standard practice for the IPL.
I think for some sides, yes, but maybe not this Sunrisers team.
Shakib and Bairstow's on the back foot. Short extra cover. Can't stop it, but it's gone out to mid-off, and they walk a single. Bairstow onto 14. But it was a very good ball that got David Warner out early on, and he was the first to go, or the only one. And to a really good ball from Prasid Krishna and Prasid Krishna, I should say, and then Sahar was bowled Shakib for 7. So it's 43 for 2, and I've probably missed you've missed something.
Well, what you've missed is Manish Pandey dancing down the track and launching Shakib Al Hasan with a beautiful swing of the bat back over his head for 6.
There you go, that's all you missed, didn't miss much. And next one bowled, and that's pushed out to long on, and there's going to be a single there. So Pandy is on to 20. That was the maximum, came down the wicket as Knuckle described, and really smashed that over long off.
Yeah, there's a couple of advances down the track to
80,
Shakib.
86 metres. So this is going to be interesting. This partnership, they're going to need to break it, because these two look like they're beginning to really middle it. And Bairstow it is who plays that one out with a paddle shot down to deep mid wicket for a single. This is a dangerous partnership.
Yeah,
and
Bairstow is a world-class hitter of spin bowling. He's in fabulous form. Manish Pandey's been a little bit underwhelming in the IPL the last few years, but from here it's a lot of all-rounders for the next. Yeah. For the lower middle order.
And that's drilled into extra cover by Pandey. There's no run. End of the 7th over. Sunrisers 45 for 2. Who we got? Knuckles, you've taken over on the social.
No, Tony.
No, that's me.
I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Tony.
Quite all right. Farong says Shakib did play against the West Indies in all forms. He pulled his grime whilst bowling in the first innings of the first test in his 7th over. Many Bangladeshi are nicknaming him Judas at present. There you go. Warren says, the way Sunrisers has started, wondering if the Bear has snuck into GC radio headquarters. We don't think he has, but yes, we take your point. O'Neill Harris says, great coverage, Gorillas. A strong team is determined by selection and form. RCB fails because of selection, not good enough bowlers, whilst Dhoni's team failed last year because of form. Yeah, they did. Roger Melly, who do you reckon the best after-the-shot pose holder was? I nominate Alan Lamb with Robin Smith as runner-up. Going for a strong South African flavour there. But yes, I think you're not wrong. It's a good couple of choices. And we're going to have a change of bowling. So
we are indeed.
Let's
see if his legs can stay attached through the tournament this year.
If Andre Russell's in your hedgerow, to be alarmed now. He's just the DJ for the after show.
First ball from Andre Russell. It's short, and Bairstow kind of helps it round almost directly behind him for first bounce boundary. Great shot from Bairstow.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a good short ball.
Actually, not such a great shot. It just came off his glove. He didn't know where it had gone.
Yeah, it's a good
but it was sort of meant to go in that general direction, I guess. But yeah, so Russell's giving him the good old stare. Here's Andre Russell, lumbers up to the stumps, and that one, Bairstow just has a tennis ball shot at that. Doesn't even bother to look at the ball and misses it. So yeah, Russell got off to a good start here. Andre Russell, who admits that he did a bit too many bench presses when he was young, forgot to work on his legs, and it pretty much shows now he's a huge unit and not particularly mobile one.
Well,
so his cricket has been restricted to T20.
Yeah, the thing about Russell is when he's... I'll come back to that after this ball.
Comes in now, and Bairstow swats it away. This time he's made good connection. That's gone into the stands, and I think it's a maximum.
Bairstow plays that short arm pull shot so well. A little bit predictable from Andre Russell. So split finger delivery, a little bit sort of Liam Plunkett-y, and I think Bairstow was waiting for that. The thing about Russell, when he's fully fit and firing, he's one of the most athletic people I've ever seen in the field, but just sometimes he can be reduced, as you say, David, to sort of crawling and limping. I mean, that World Cup was kind of painful to watch, really.
It was painful. They kept playing him, and he clearly wasn't fit and wasn't going to last a 50-over tournament. You know, he's a T20 cricketer, and a very good one. Here's Russell, and that's cut away by Bairstow, and it's only gone to point, and there's no run there.
Good pace in this over thus far from Andre Russell. You know, when he does bowl that bouncer, it can be quite effective. I mean, he did that one game where it all worked for the West Indies at the start of the World Cup, where they bounced out. Who was it they played? Was it Sri Lanka in the first game, where they just kept...
Yeah, and they kept the same tactics for the rest of the tournament. Thought that would work for every game after that, and it didn't. And this one, Bairstow really gets onto that, places it brilliantly. It's gone down for 4, like a tracer bullet down to long on.
That went like a tracer bullet.
Indeed,
it went like a tracer bullet, if ever I saw that. So Bairstow, he goes on to 29, and Pandey's on 20, and it's 55 for 2. Sunrisers chasing that 188 target.
Yeah, that was an attempted slow ball from Andre Russell, and Bairstow's done well to pick that out of the hand and off the pitch.
Russell to finish off the over now, bowling to Bairstow, and that's well pitched up. Bairstow flays at it, doesn't really know where it's going, sort of dribbles down to deep square leg. They go through for a single. So moral victory for Andre Russell in his first over. Bairstow didn't really have much command over where that was going. 59 for 2 off 8 overs.
Still went for 15 now, that over, but yeah, you're right off the last ball. Ravi Nair, a man who is of great wisdom, says, unbalanced teams usually don't win. Sunrisers are doomed by the pointless strategy of playing 2 keepers. Imagine how they jostle each other behind the stumps. Armchair Cricket Podcast says, after power play overs, Knight Riders have recovered to within 1 run of where Chennai were when setting 188. Okay, that's interesting. Tier 5 Thurlow says, I'm not sure I want to know what you would call the German biryani, but certainly hope it's not Mikkelreis.
Yeah, biryani is something that gets Indian people quite rightly quite exercised, particularly Kolkata and Hyderabad have 2 sort of competing types of biryani, and they get very territorial about whose is the best. A little bit like if you've ever spent any time sort of, I'm trying to think of an example, like, you know, I guess sort of Devon and Cornwall in terms of clotted cream
teas. Well, I can tell you, Chennai, of course, is home of Mulligatawny, isn't it?
Here's Cummins, Pat Cummins back again, bowls, and that's drilled down by Bairstow over his head, commandingly for 4. No chance of catching that on the boundary. It really was a question of take that from Bairstow. Cummins will think twice before pitching the ball up after this.
I mean, that was just a length delivery. That wasn't even that pitched up. What a shot that was from Bairstow.
Here's Cummins going wide of the crease. Bairstow's gone for the same shot again. This time it's stopped acrobatically by Andre Russell. They're going to go through for single. It needed every inch of Russell's 6'7" frame to make sure he got behind that. And they just go through for 1. But again, powerfully struck by Johnny Bairstow. He's looking in good touch here. Going to shout out to James Knights over in Javier in Spain, listening to our coverage. Hello to you, James. And also shout out to Jonathan of Portsmouth, who's pleased to see some excellent spin bowling earlier on. He started the season yesterday with 2 wickets in his second over against a Portsmouth University side. Well bowled, Jonathan, one of our best up-and-coming spin bowlers. And Harbourjan and Shaki, they make a very interesting spin combination, but it's Pat Cummings at the moment in the attack. That's just helped round the corner by Pandy. They're going to look for 2 here and get it quite well, reasonably comfortably. And so it's all happening. Sunrise is on 67 for 2. They've got to keep the pace up because they're chasing 188 and their current run rate is 7.8. They need what's the strike rate now? They need
it's just over 10.5 and over. Just over 10.5 and over. But they've Bairstow and Manish Pandey have already carved half a run and over off that since they came together.
Yeah. Here's Cummins and Pandy's on strike now. Pandy delicately dabs that down. They're going to go through just for a single down to third man. But yeah, Johnny B is looking in good form here. I wish I'd backed him to be the highest run scorer today.
He's going to have to get past 80 to do it.
No, for the Sunrisers.
Ah, right. I thought you meant the game overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's unusual for a number 4 batter to come in that early, so he still has a chance. I mean, if Bairstow stays in for the rest of the innings, I would actually back Sunrisers to win this game, to be honest.
Yeah, they'll get close to it, won't they, if manages to stay in. But Cummins this time pulls out. I think Bairstow thought there was some movement, or maybe just catching his breath. Must be pretty hot out there.
Yeah, I think even Johnny Bairstow can't run infinite quick 2s, even as someone as fit and quick.
So, Knuckle, who do you think who's your money on for the whole tournament then? Cummins bowls, I'll let you think about that as plays. That's nicely played away down by Bairstow, only for 1 this time, down to deep cover point. Who's your money on? I know you're not a betting man, Knuckle, but if you were, who is the strongest team for you this year?
On paper, like Tony said, the Mumbai Indians are definitely the strongest team on paper. They've won the last 2 tournaments, and as a result, they've not made many changes to that lineup this year. I mean, it's a good sign, I think, when you go into a tournament and you can pretty much name 8 or 9 of their starting 11 in most games. A few other teams have made improvements, I think. I think Kolkata Knight Riders and Delhi Capitals are both in a position where they had all the ingredients last year, which didn't quite work for them as well as it could have done. And it's a case of individual improvements for them.
Cummins finishes the over. He's going to finish with a dot ball as Pandy caught in 2 minds, coming down the wicket, then having just to prod it down in front of him. So the end of that over, it's 9 overs gone, and Sunrisers are 69 for 2.
But Leah's interested to know whether the biryani wars are similar to what she calls the currywurst war between Berlin and Ruhrpott in terms of intensity.
I think a lot of places have these regional variations that everyone gets very protective of, and everyone thinks theirs is the best, obviously, and that's how it works. I think of Nigeria and Ghana with jollof rice, for example, which is a very heated debate. It's all well and good. I'm going to pin my colours to the mast. I am a Hyderabadi biryani man. I prefer that variety. A one-made biryani is one of the finest dishes I've ever had the pleasure of tasting. Yeah. I mean, in terms talk of Chennai and Kerala, I do dosas and related food items absolutely delicious.
I can tell you've never had my butter chicken, because I made butter chicken last night and it was absolutely fantastic.
Butter chicken? Yeah,
that's not my words, it's the words of the family.
My partner and I make a good butter chicken.
That's very happily.
My partner and I make a good butter chicken. That's from Chandigarh. That's a Punjabi dish.
Is it? Oh, that's good to know. So at least I can sound very authoritative next time I do it. Leah says, I've just asked what Leah says. On Cricket Tracker India, not really discussing types of curry and regions from which it originates. Nonetheless, many people joining. Ramnivas Verma, Rajkumar, Imran Khan, Balwant, Rawat Brew, amongst others. So many people giving us love hearts, but I'll say thank you to a couple of people. Ekalmada Janedi, Mahadra Kumar, Akbar Hussain Janak Chand, and Ritram Mankur, amongst others. And still a degree of love, but not quite as loving. We're getting plenty of thumbs ups from Abaragashi Kumar, Afran Khan, Asad Arshad, Vishal Chikandara, and Harshad Shah, again amongst many others.
Well, you're not missing any action because it is a strategic timeout where the figure of Trevor Bayliss has walked out onto the field. Of course, he's taken over Is this his second year at Sunrisers?
Yeah,
it is,
he
yes.
spent, how many? It was 2012 to 2015. He, of course, he was at KKR.
And won 2 IPL titles, and then took over England for that 2015 to 2019 run. Of course, won the World Cup final, got to the final of the T20 World Cup. Yeah, Tom Moody is back in the coaching staff for the Sunrisers, having
Director of cricket role, isn't it? Though that Tom Moody has.
Yeah,
so
and
he's kind of effectively Trevor Bayliss's boss.
Yeah,
if you go to our website, you will find from last night an appraisal of the career of Trevor Bayliss with comments indeed from Owen Morgan. Those two, of course, won a World Cup together, now find themselves in opposition today, and just sort of set the stage for that. We wrote an article last night that you will find worth reading, even if it's retrospective to this game rather than ahead of it.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there on the Guerrilla Cricket website. We added this new section. Tony Orr got a lot of good stuff on there. And Guerrilla Cricket, worth checking out the website, guerrillacricket.com.
Warren, by the way, says we need an independent review of the butter chicken. Maybe Luigi. Oh, he's had it and loves it. But he's not particularly choosy, but he has had it, I can tell you.
And we have a change of bowling.
Indeed, a little bit of mystery spin. Want to describe the ball, and then I'll jingle him up.
Oh, well, it was no dot ball. Kravati bowling his looks like leg spin to me, and it's head out on the offside down to deep cover point, and they'll go through for a single. Nakul, tell us all about Chakravarti.
Varun Chakravarti is sometimes described as a mystery spinner, which is not quite, which is probably a little bit reductive, but he's been very good in the IPL the last few years, particularly for KKR, having had a dodgy season first up for a not very good Punjab team. He has been named in India squads, but failed a fitness test and wasn't able to play in the recent series against England.
This one is played away by Pandey. It's a chase for the man at deep square leg. They've got to take 2. It looks like Shakib down there, and they do run 2, and Pandey moves on to 25.
Yeah, so he bowls, and he's come through a slightly unusual route. He doesn't play domestic cricket for any of the state teams. He's come through the sort of tennis ball and sort of almost corporate T20 leagues.
That's he comes in again, and he's got an action not unlike Rashid Khan. Comes through and throws it up there. This is drilled down to mid-off for a single by Pandey. He is bearded, unlike Rashid Khan. So got a very trim, sort of Jimmy Adams type beard.
Heavy on the chin, heavy on the cheeks. I mean, Rashid Khan has the very sharp designer stubble. I describe his action as a little bit more like Sunil Narain than Rashid Khan. It's very much out the front of the hand.
Well, let's hope it's not like Sunil Narain. We want him to be playing rather than on the sidelines with question marks over his action. That's drilled down by Bairstow, down to third man. And it's missed out by the gully fielder. It's going to go down for 4.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary, boundary.
Yeah, Nakul having an action like Sunil Narain is no longer necessarily what you covered.
Narain, of course,
in the cricket at the moment.
Narain, of course, in the KKR lineup. And in the last few years in T20 cricket, he's become very economical, but doesn't take many wickets.
Right, that's right. Chakravarti again. This one is played nicely by Pandey, by Bairstow, I beg your pardon, but it's straight to point and there's no run. So Bairstow's got to 41 off 28. Pandey at the other end, 26 off 22.
Mossy is watching online but listening to us. Wants to know if the Sunrisers can chase down this target. What do they need at the moment? They need to go at 11, just over 11 and over. They're currently going at 7. Lost a couple of wickets, but they've steadied the ship. I'd say it's pretty even Stevens the way things stand at the moment. Farong is saying, hey, our biryani is damn good as well in Bangladesh. Delhi has a better biryani than in Kolkata. Leah says, I had a Hyderabadi biryani with mutton from a restaurant, armchair cricket. Oh, he's replying. I thought it was the name of the restaurant, but it's not. Recommended recently, and it was absolutely delicious. Warren, as I said, was asking about whether my butter chicken had been tested and reviewed by Luigi the Magpie. Yes, it has.
If you want a good biryani in London, go to The Shoom. Any of the branches of The Shoom. Very nice.
Well, I must
see
it
spelling that.
Oh, well, I'll hold that thought now.
And this one's from Prasidi back into the attack. It's wide down the leg side. Has it been given a wide?
Certainly has.
Why?
Krishna has also broken into the Indian team. Was very impressive in the series against England. He's put on a couple of yards of pace in the last few years. He does bowl quick. He's a tall bowler, uses his height well, gets a little bit of movement, and he's he's gone from a sort of bit part player to a genuinely important part of this KKR team.
Just short of a length, this one. It's drilled down towards long, and it's going to go. It's going to beat the fielder down there. It's beaten Shubman Gill down there, and it's gone for 4.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
So Prasidi, generating some real pace. Got the wicket of David Warner early on, but coming back into the attack. That one, well, Pandey just managed to get on top of it and drill it down fairly straight. And there was a chase for the fielder at long on, but it went wide of him. So when I say it was straight, it was more like somewhere between long on and deep mid wicket, but it certainly beat the guy on the boundary. And so that first ball of the over has gone for 4, so that's important for Sunrisers if they're going to stay in this game. Tony, I don't know if you are a betting man, you say it's even Stevens at the moment, in which case you should bet on the Sunrisers because they're 2-1 outsiders. The bookmakers don't agree with you at the moment.
Okay.
So maybe that's good value.
Well, I think as long as Bairstow's there.
And this surely must be another wide. That's down the leg side. And, Pandey did step down out to the leg, but has that been given?
No, Nathan Menela seems to have judged that it maybe went over his shoulder rather than going down the leg side.
I mean, he did Pandey did back away, rather, not in the manner of someone who was frightened of the ball, but to give himself room. And yeah, he followed him, fair enough, went over his head, and it was a decent bit of bowling that by Prasidi. He followed him, he was walking down towards leg, and he directed that well. This time it's flayed away by Pandey. It's going to get to the man down at long on to just take a single. So 83 for 2. The Sunrisers chasing 188. They've acquired 105 off 57 balls. That's a required run rate now of 11 and over. But Bairstow, as you say, as long as Bairstow's there, they've got a chance.
Yeah, I mean they've got power to come. Mohammed Nabi's a fearful hitter of the ball. Rashid Khan, I think, would be used by a lot of teams in their top 5 or 6.
By Sussex, it wasn't.
No, I think I would be very tempted every now and again to open with Rashid Khan in T20.
Absolutely.
He's such a good hitter of the ball.
Oh, commiserations, Tony, on Middlesex's defeat to Somerset. To score that many in the first innings and for Robson to get such a big century, then to be on the losing team, shocking. It's hard to bear, I'm sure. This one down there, that must be a wide, surely. Down the leg side, yes, this time it is a wide, and Prasidi's very much going leg side here. Have you enjoyed the first round of the county championship? Are we allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, I have. Sure. I was enjoying it until Middlesex snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
It's a fabulous
really
game.
Rather threw away what should have been a winning position.
Fabulous game of cricket.
But Somerset, you have to say, did extraordinarily well.
Yeah, it's been some big scores. James Vince, 236, double century. Been some big scores already. Bairstow helps that one over top of the wicketkeeper. I think this is by design. We'll definitely give him that. That was a bit of resourcefulness from Bairstow, and it goes down for 4.
2 + 2 is our man.
Cleverly played by Bairstow, and I think he anticipated that. Prashith Krishna has, as you said, been trying to bowl straight at Bairstow. He has that weakness on the inside edge, but he had to adjust his line, and Bairstow waited for it and guided it up over the keeper beautifully. He is such a good white ball batsman, Johnny Bairstow.
He is in really great form. We showed that in the India series, and he's used to playing in Indian conditions now, and that one he doesn't make contact with, goes down to the wicketkeeper. A bit of frustration from Bairstow there, missing out on that one, and he remains on 45. But yeah, Johnny Bairstow was so impressive in the white ball series against India, and he's continued that form today. He's on 45 or 30. You're looking really dangerous. The game won't be decided as long as he's out in the middle. There's every chance for both teams here. He waits for the last ball of the over from Prasidi, and he just steers that down to backward ball. He's having to run to make the single, and gets there in the end. would have been tight if he'd had a direct call. Oh, bit of disagreement there between Bairstow and Pandy. Bairstow suggesting that Pandy called him for that too late. Don't forget Brighton versus Everton tomorrow. And over to you, Tony.
Just reading what's on the screen. Mark Zip.
Don't give it away, Tony.
It would have been rather random otherwise. Mark Zip, catching on the food theme, says, speaking of food rivalries, here's one to get the blood going. New Haven Pizza versus New York Pizza. That's New Haven, Connecticut, not New Haven, East Sussex. New Haven Pizza, characterised by the plain pizza crust, oregano and tomato sauce, but just a little bit of grated Pecorino Romano cheese on. And I think Mark Zip is saying that New Haven wins hands down every time.
Presumably that's because
if I'm wrong.
Presumably that's because where he's from. I mean, within Italy, there's this whole thing about Neapolitan versus Roman pizza. Naples claiming to be the birthplace of pizza.
Well, also south of France claims ownership of pizza as well. So it's even an international battle, let alone just a local one.
How?
Chakravarti to continue. His first over went for 8, and he's going to be bowling to Bairstow's on 46. Pandy at the other end on 31. 89 for 2 off 11. 99 needed off 54 as Chakravarti bowls. And that on Pandy rocks onto the back foot and smashes that away. 4. It was Bairstow, I beg your pardon, and it's his 50.
Smacks of
52 off 32 balls with 5 4s and 3 6s.
50 runs.
This one goes for a biggie. It's going down the leg side, surely. Well, what was that signal, Knackle?
That was
going down the leg.
That was it going down
yeah.
leg side, and I think the umpire agrees.
Yeah.
But Owen Morgan
I know. Owen Morgan wants a review. It looked very leggy to both myself and Knackle and the umpire, but someone knows
that's
better.
The case of Owen Morgan knowing the value of a Johnny Bairstow wicket, particularly in this format of the game.
Well, I've still got to hit the stumps, Tony.
Well, yeah, true enough, but he's prepared to throw. Well, that's got to be going down there.
You've got to throw a reviewer away.
It's hit him in line with the outside half of leg stump.
Yeah.
I think this was a slightly, as you say, Tony, or as you infer, Tony, a slightly desperate review from Owen Morgan.
Yeah.
But they were very convinced. He and Dinesh Karthik were both very convinced, both very experienced players. Just can't see how that's hitting enough of the stumps. Hitting in line, yeah, going down leg. The umpire says, trifle me not with this nonsense.
RKN.
Yeah, way down. So a poor review that from Owen Morgan, who's not had much of a match so far. And Chakravarti bowls, and that's played off the back foot by Bairstow. Acrobatically stopped at point. They're going to take a single. And applause for, who was that doing the fielding there? That was... I'm
not sure who that was. It might have been Rahul Tripathi in there at backward point.
Yeah.
It was a very good bit of fielding, diving away to his right.
Karthik encouraging his teammates. Best on 53. Pandy now on strike on 31. He scored the first ever IPL century for an Indian, didn't he? This man, that was a while ago. Pandy helps the ball down to deep square leg. It's going to take a single. He had to wait a while, didn't he, to get into the India team after that, Knackle?
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of competition, obviously. I mean, that was in the time that was in 2009, as you say, so it was a very long time ago that Manish Pandey did that. And he's been a little bit underwhelming in the last few years, and thus has found himself out of the Indian team in recent times.
Down to backward a point for a single Bairstow. Yeah, Pandy on 32. He's only 29 now. He must have been 19 when he hit that century.
Yeah, very, very young indeed. Back in the 2009 season when the IPL was played in South Africa.
Yeah. So Pandy on 32, Bairstow 54. These two decent partnership developing here. 98 for 2. Once that score goes past 100, there it is. It goes on to 100 now for something I completely missed. And you've got to be fast in this game. I'm just trying to check the score. Next thing you know, another ball's been bowled. But I think 2 runs were scored. Bairstow's on 54. At the end of that over, it's 100 for 2.
Imossi is continuing the biryani theme. Says Hyderabadi biryani is the only biryani the world acknowledges. Others are pickled rice, as Gorilla funnily put it. Was that you, Knuckle? Probably.
No.
I don't have enough expertise to be able to, say that.
I don't think I've ever described biryani as pickled rice.
Leah says, a battle about pizza in Italy is about second place at best. The number one is served in Herzogenstrasse in Cologne. You may be on a comparatively limited number of people thinking that, Leah, but we'll take your word for it. Farong says, would have hit 5th or 6th stump. We're talking about that rather desperate review for Owen Morgan on Johnny B. A wasted review indeed. Started to get tough now for us Sunrisers, but wickets in hand. Yes, they are.
Change of bowling.
Yeah, wickets are in hand, and it's Pat Cummins back into the attack.
Yeah, it's been better today than he was for certainly the early part of last season, having been bought for a huge amount of money.
When